absolute worst. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you're going to say doomsday scenario here, Mike Pence might be president. Okay, or the Trump administration's fiscal policy agenda he's so distracted by this that he can't get anything done. Well, if Mike Pence becomes president, that's a lot of investors think that's a net positive because we get out of the sort of drama that's everyday drama that is Donald Trump. If nothing happens with the Trump fiscal policy agenda stuff, points I made on your FBN show time and time again. Well, net Donald Trump doing nothing is better than what Hillary Clinton was planning to do, which was a lot of tax increases and extra regulation. So I think net for the markets, this right now turns out to be a big nothing. Now, we'll have to see. Markets trade off headlines all the time. But
I've also heard, and we've talked to a couple of them, maybe in the same segment we were doing on Fox Business, that a lot of them a lot of the market pros don't think this is amounting to anything or anything will come of it.
Right.
And they're kind of betting on that. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think they're betting on that, but they're also betting on fundamentals. Earnings look good, low inflation. What's the worst case scenario? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen. If Trump ever, had to resign, God forbid, then you get Pence in there, who a lot of market people say is a much more stable force.
And we should just very unlikely that we're taking this out to the absolute extremes. We are nowhere near that.
I'm just saying that
positive that way.
Yeah, and investors always say, "What's the worst? What is the worst that could happen?" Or Donald Trump's fiscal agenda is stalled, nothing gets done really. He's still, from a fiscal policy standpoint, he's not going to raise your taxes. He's not going to increase regulations. He's going to decrease regulations, even through executive order.
None of this affects company earnings. None of this affects
very little
what the Federal Reserve's going to do or not do. None of this affects any of that.
And none of this will cause Donald Trump to go out there and raise taxes on businesses a gazillion %. I mean, the Republican Congresswoman.
I wonder, though, for him personally, does it get to be an annoying distraction? Let's say you take him at his word that there's no hearing. And others have said they've yet to see any evidence of collusion. We don't know what Mueller's getting, but that they constantly drag this out before him, and it's such a distraction to him personally.
Well, that's the second part of my analysis here, from just gleaned from talking with people. Nothing gets done in a Trump agenda is 4 years those 4 years, if nothing gets done, is better than what Hillary Clinton and what Democrats might give you in terms of the economy and raising taxes and
again, you're seeing this through the prism of investors.
Yeah, and by the way, they're pretty analytical. They're not. They don't. I mean, listen. Obviously, there's a human toll that goes on here. Donald Trump. Who knows how he's going to react to some of this stuff? That'll all play out, and I'm sure soon. But that's how they look at it. They look at it very clinically, very analytically. I will tell you this, though, just from covering grand juries, generally you don't impanel them unless you don't think you got something. I'm not saying
you're going to want the freedom to subpoena, which I'm just learning. And something at this stage in all these prior investigations, we got.
Neil, prosecutors are put on earth to prosecute. I'm not saying and by the way, a lot of times they're wrong. And
absolutely.
And there are times when grand juries say no. But let me tell you something. He wouldn't have impaneled the grand jury unless he thought there was something there or
something that warranted getting more information that you could only get through subpoena.
Because there's some stuff to look at that's serious. I mean, this is serious. I don't know how else to put it. That doesn't mean it won't. Nothing could happen. I've seen so many times that they walk away. A lot of times they don't. By the way, what was the old saying? You can indict a ham sandwich. Yeah. Remember that?
The ham sandwich hates it.
No, grand juries can indict a ham sandwich.
All right.
It might have been bologna, but I think it was ham.
I understand. Thank you very, very much. All right.